So I want you to look at this image properly in 5 minutes. And after you've looked at the image, according to the starter activity, the image shows a crime scene. With your understanding of psychology, critically analyze if it was a murder or a suicide case. With your evidence, validate your answer. Okay. Now, with your evidence, validate your answer. So you have 5 minutes. Look at the story, look at the image, come up with whatever you have to choose. If it was a murder or it was a suicide, whatever decision you take, you must give me at least minimum of 3 reasons why you think whatever decision you have selected. Thank you. So your time starts ticking from now.
Yeah, as I can see, it is a suicide because there are broken bottles and a lot of chairs, and there is blood.
Good. Okay. Okay. What are the reason why you think it's a suicide? Yeah, that's a good point. You've highlighted chairs, broken bottle. Things are scattered. What other
Yes.
reason do you think it's this? You said it's a suicide, right?
Yeah, because I can't found the blood on his neck,
Okay.
then a broken bottles, chairs, and some things are split on the floors. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay, that's a very good response from you. As I told you, it's just a starter activity, just to encourage you into psychology. Basically, one of the things psychologists help us to do is to enhance our observational skill. And for you to have decided what paradigm this particular situation is, maybe it's a suicide or it's a murder case, you must be able to critically analyze the things that happened around it. Now, if you look at the position of the gun on the floor, on the table, automatically it's pointing towards that it's a suicide, because that is, and if you see where the blood is gushing out from the head, it's revealing that it's a suicide. And
Yeah.
looking at the screen on the side of the wall, it shows that the person was engaging in one of these forex trade. You could see when it was green, it was going up, it means it went up. But when it went down, I think that is what served as a catalyst or the antecedent to the behavior that led him to engage in such behavior. Okay, that was a very good one. That was a very good one. That's just a starter activity just to improve our observational skill. So one thing I want to make you understand, because we're looking at assessment objectives in psychology, because for you to be able to answer questions or attempt questions in psychology, especially in the AQA exam board, with the AQA exam board, it is very key we understand the AOs. We refer to them as AOs because these assessment objectives is what helps us in answering our questions. First, it helps us understand what the questions is expecting of us to do. Then it also helps us to minimize the time we spend on each question. Now, when we talk about assessment objectives, what are we trying to talk about? The assessment objective, basically, if you can see on what I wrote, is talking about the measures that students must achieve in relation to that subject. Now, in psychology, there are three major assessment objectives. And I'm taking my time to explain them because this is the fundamental you must understand. And it's going to help your writing skill, and also, especially in the aspect of writing, it's going to help you a lot. So we have the AO1. And when we talk about the AO1, we are talking about demonstration of your knowledge and understanding of psychological terminologies. So when we talk about demonstration and understanding of psychological terminologies, we are looking at you being able to understand concepts in psychology. So when you see a question that asks you, for example, what is defined memory? Automatically, when you see a question like that, you know that question is measuring AO1 because it's only testing for your understanding and knowledge of concept. So when it asks you define memory, then you must be able to tell us what memory is. Whatever other thing you write would not be necessary. Or if, for example, the question asks you to define schema. What is schema? That is all you need to define. And for example, what is schema? For example, schema is a mental representation of our world as a result of our belief, expectation, and previous experience. That is what AO1 is talking about. So in such a question, which might not be more than 2 marks, you will not need to spend more time on such question because you already know that AO1 is measuring conceptual meanings of concepts. So when you know the conceptual meaning of the concept, then you are answering AO1. That is assessment objective number 1. Then number 2 is AO2. When we talk about assessment objective number 2, I want you to have this proper understanding so that you will not have issues when you're writing, when you're faced with exams. Now, when we talk about AO2, basically it talks about application of knowledge and understanding. So in this context, it means that you are now able to use psychological theories to explain a particular problem or phenomenon or situation. Or you can also use practical examples to define a concept. Or you can also use data to explain, maybe data when we talk about your quantitative and qualitative data. You can now use them as a basis to explain or give more in-depth information about a particular psychological phenomenon. So when you see a question, for example, let me give you a practical example of a question. Mike went to a supermarket and saw Gabriel. Mike smiled at Gabriel and Gabriel smiled back. Explain. Now, in that context, that question looks abstract. But what the essence of that question, it wants to see your understanding about the principle or the concept of reinforcement. Because the smile of Michael brought about a response in Gabriel. So, and that is what is reinforcement and what we refer to as reinforcement. So I would say reinforcement is the frequency of a behavior occurring over and over, or increases the frequency of a behavior that can occur over a time. And this frequency is increased because it is a desired behavior. So that is, I'm just giving you the understanding of AO2. So that is application. Or you are able to create a scenario using psychological theory to explain why a particular person or individual is behaving in a particular way. Now, for example, let's look at Albert Bandura's social learning theory, where we talk about modeling. You can now say, oh, the reason why Gabriel can write like his dad is because he modeled it from his father. He observed his father and he started learning to write like his father. So it means that is model. You are able to apply the concept into real life scenario. And this is very important in psychology because psychology should not be treated as an abstract subject. So that is the AO2. And the third one, which is the final AO3, is called analysis and interpretation of scientific information. So basically, in this aspect, can you just give me for 1 minute? Yeah, both of you now. Now, I won't repeat myself. In this aspect, basically, we want to look at the pros and cons. So it means you are looking at the merit and demerit. You are looking at the strength and the weaknesses of a particular thing. So when you're looking at AO3, you give in-depth information, which includes both the strength and the weaknesses of that psychological phenomenon that you want to look into so that it can have a proper understanding. So for example, most 15, 20 mark questions usually entails this.